In that phrase, but I always thought I had the handwriting of a doctor, but not the ability to look at blood, so I never went into that field. But since it's almost impossible to read a doctor's prescription, I could do that part of it. I think part of it goes back to the closed personality, which hopefully I've opened up dramatically. I noticed, like, when I wrote a couple of practice things to try and tire my hand, and I would write that at the smallest part at the top of the page when you have the whole page. But my drawings represent the same thing, and it's that kind of closed thing, which I don't really understand because I've really become a much more open person. My handwriting hasn't followed suit. My father had great handwriting, so I certainly didn't inherit it from him. I would say successful out of pushy or controlling. I'm not at all controlling, although I can be, but I make a big effort not to. Again, it's more assuming control when no one does. You know, when one door is open and 42 people are lined up, I open the other door. When everybody's in the left lane, I go in the right lane, and suddenly people will follow you, because basically people have a herd instinct for most things. I don't try to be controlling, but sometimes you have to be. I finally got the right eye doctor after some idiot, but he explains everything to me, why the muscles work and why you're seeing double vision. I love when people do that, because I really want to understand what's going on. It makes me much easier to get into the program. I don't like people to say, we always did it this way, or you do it because I told you to do it. I like to have a reason for doing it.
You're a smart guy, and you can...
My basic thing is, I like people in general. In traveling the world, I've learned that people from all stratas of society really just want to be left alone, live their life in peace, and have a family. And it's always our leaders who screw things up for their own particular power trip. So we all have that basic thing in common. And I kind of respect anybody who works. It doesn't matter. Someone who sweeps the floor to me is just as good as the guy who develops the supercomputers, because they all provide, a benefit to our society. So I'm not at all judgmental in terms of people, although I make judgments. But I don't really judge people. I still think I'm selective. I'm not trying to be elitist, but I think most people are idiots. We've dramatically dumbed down America. People come out of college, teachers, they can't spell, they don't know the president. I mean, maybe with Obama they do, but I used to watch Jay Leno a lot, and he'd do the jaywalking, and I know they're symptomatic of the lowest brain level, but I mean, the first airplane flight, 1942, and I'm talking about people who are teachers, so they're trying to teach other people. So we've dramatically made this country more ignorant, and I think television, all that has contributed dramatically to it. I don't think so. I think basically I'm a glass half full person. I mean, I've had lots of ups and downs in my life, but overall I'm a big John Denver fan. He sings this song about looking back at his life that all in all it's been a good life. I have great friends, I have a great family. I've been happy most of my life. I'd love to be in a relationship with a woman, but I'm pretty happy just leading my life. I think it was when, I don't remember, it was when my mother died or my father died. I think it was when my mother died. And I was going back to an aunt's house, uncle's house in the Bronx. I was riding with my aunt, and we got into some kind of a serious discussion. And she said, you Kessler men, you're so emotional, but you try and hide it. She said, all of you, you're exactly the same. Your uncles, your father, you, everybody. And that really hit home. It made me realize that indeed I was, because I had learned well before that, going to Brazil and meeting all the crazy Brazilians who are so warm and open and giving, that every time I went down there, I had a girlfriend down there, and I'd be greeted by 10 or 20 people who come to the airport I'd never seen before. And everybody hugs and kisses. And after my second trip, when I got home, I kissed my father and I kissed my mother. And my father was kind of taken aback, because Eastern European, raised in a home where a lot of love, but not really physical love. And once he calmed down, he loved it. It's such an important part of life. So I'm a big hugger. My friends in Chicago and New York say, it's because you're in California, but it's really because of Brazil. So in terms of emotionally stable, my emotions run wild, but they rarely show. friends kid me because I like chick flicks. I cry. To me, it's the most natural thing. So why wouldn't I cry if something is sad or very beautiful and very touching? So I think in that case, I'm very emotionally stable, but I tend to get overly emotional. I'm trying to develop a relationship with someone, and I keep singing the Impressions song to myself, that trying to let my imagination run away with me, and stay focused on what's really happening, because I really would like to be in love and have a partner for the rest of my life. But there have been times when, I just let the romance run away with my head, and in retrospect said, I'm not sure I knew what I was doing at that point. So.
That's very honest.
I think I was too self-centered and too selfish, always looking for a better situation, no matter how good the situation was. And if I could do some things over, I would certainly do them differently, very differently.
Yeah, great question. Does he have leadership skills? Well, first of all, from his answer, he was always promoted as president, right? Okay. I think that he answered it better than we could. His handwriting doesn't say that he's overly charismatic, right? But it also says he's persistent and determined. So I think he articulated it very well. He likes power. He likes to be in charge. But he's not terribly, I say charismatic. His handwriting doesn't scream charismatic. I thought he was likable. Like, I would like to hang out with him because he's smart. But he also had that little anger, kind of angst, and people are idiots flavor. So the answer is, what are leadership skills? Leadership skills would be control, trust, charisma, and persistence, determination. He's got like half of the ones you would expect, and he doesn't have like this amazing ego, because he didn't have a big ego, right? But his handwriting didn't have a big ego. Most leaders have a big ego. So the answer is yes and no. And I think he answered it yes and no. Right? I mean, the truth is just there. Like, he told the truth. It is. So these yes or no questions, you should be smart enough to say, aha, it depends. Partly yes, partly no. When you begin to analyze people in the context of it depends, well, what are you thinking? What context do you want? They will absolutely give you what you need to help change your lives. Because we're not dealing with computer chips. It's not on or off. It is maybe, maybe not, depending on the context. Most people in this room would never steal anything, right? Raise your hand if you steal stuff. Okay? However, many people have purchased a book that they knew was photocopied and the author didn't get a royalty. You know who you're talking to. Yeah, I know who you are. Okay? In this culture, that's kind of okay. As an author, it's really confusing. So I've noticed on the side of the road they sell these books, and I'm like, I bet you the author didn't get paid on the book. So that's like just sort of a cultural thing. Now, if there was a war and you guys are running for your lives and your kids are starving and there's 3 apples sitting in a window, would you take them? Most of you would, because you're starving. So it's contextual. So most of you are honest. You all think you're honest, and put in context, you might do stupid things. And so handwriting is like that. We can't predict every context that someone might get into. But we can predict if things are stable and all variables are stable, here is what this person might do. One thing that I have noticed from the videos is most people on the videos I like. Like, they're likable people. And even though I wouldn't have thought I would like Arthur very much, he's aggressive, he's smart, he's analytical, he's argumentative, he was likable. Like, he had a kind soul. And I think what you'll find is if you can ask the right questions and you yourself can be compassionate and not argumentative and not condescending, if you can approach these negative traits with love and compassion, you will find the essence of their niceness in them. Because I think people are basically good. And even people with a lot of issues will be very kind given the safety of kindness. And so you'll get these kind of interviews and you'll get this kind of authenticity if you can learn the art of interviewing.